Well, guys, it is February 20th, and I am working out here with the shop open. I love global warming. But, in all seriousness, I'm gonna start working on the gear today. Dad got all the bolts ordered earlier this week since I was back at school, and we had to order them a little differently because of the fact that they're not actually being used as bolts, they're being used as pins. Had to order every one of them by length of the shank instead of the length of the overall length of the bolt. That way I have enough bearing surface. So that was the reason he had to order them instead of just going in and getting them. And they had everything except one that was on back order, and that'll be here Tuesday. But I got enough stuff here that I can pretty much get done. The only thing, or the only one they didn't have, was the bolt that's welded in the bottom of the yoke for the tie rod, which ain't no big deal. That one's just cut it out, weld the new one in, and throw it back together. So but get it taken back apart real quick. I didn't really even bother putting it back together, so it's just kind of in there, everything's loose. This weather right here just goes to show how cruel Mother Nature is, though, because it's going to be like this for us for today. Tomorrow's going to be a little cooler. It's only going to be around 50. I think right now it's pushing 60. But tomorrow's supposed to be 50, partly cloudy, and then come Monday it's back down to like 38. And then by the end of the week we're back down to 30. What did I come over here for? I think it's that one. That was wrong. There we go. Still no news on the tin for this thing yet. I can't remember if I said in the last video or not. The sheet metal shop that's doing it got in a crap ton of work. I think it was like $1 million worth or something like that. They're building 2 great big ass hydraulic tanks, and so my stuff kind of got put on the back burner, which is perfectly fine. I would probably have done the same thing for that kind of money. And since he's basically doing my stuff at cost, I don't even think he's charging us labor, he's just charging us material. So he's making money over basically doing charity work. But hopefully I'll have it by spring break. And then once I got the tin, everything ought to go pretty fast. But I got other stuff to be doing with both for this thing and other equipment in between then and now, so I got plenty to keep me busy. Really, that's not the... Oh, yeah. Jump size. Except for this, I gotta get the tin work for the top beat back out straight. And we're gonna get a rebuild kit coming for the motor on the, or for the hydraulic motor on the auger, so I can get that rebuilt before I put it on here, because I know the very first time I go to use that damn thing, the shaft seal is gonna take a crap and it's gonna start running hydraulic oil right down the auger. So that's gonna happen. I got a hydraulic cylinder to rebuild off the Cullimulcher. I'm probably going to get that tore apart tomorrow so Dad can get the seals this week while I'm at school. Got oil to change in tractors, and yeah, whole long list. Alrighty, first things first, I gotta get these nuts knocked off of here. And instead of trying to cut them out with a torch or something, I'm just gonna mill them off, so. Way too fast. That's a little better. Take a little bit bigger bite than that. That's more better. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something to support that. Okay, take two. This is probably what I should have done in the first place. Can I get it in one more shot? Yeah, probably ought to not try. these glasses are safety rated. I doubt it. That's about all I'm going to get out of it. There, now instead of doing a whole lot of grinding, I just got to do a little bit of grinding. Alrighty, next step's going to be machining these blocks. That one is actually going to go on the yoke, and then this one, which unfortunately we didn't have a piece of 3/4 by 2 flat stock down there. Actually, we didn't have any 3/4 flat stock down in the scrap pile, and I really didn't want to have to cut any of Dad's good steel, so this was actually a triangle I turned into a square, and it wasn't quite big enough, but you'll never notice that when I get it on here. But this one's going to go here, and that'll get welded on there. That one that's already in the mill is going to get welded on there, and then there'll be a nut welded on the opposite end. And then the bolts are long enough to go all the way through. There'll be thread sticking through, and then I'm going to put a stover nut on them to lock them. But I skipped over the setup part because you've seen that already, and it doesn't really change. And drill a pilot. I don't want that, I want this. Oh, and in case anybody's wondering, the reason the grain truck's sitting in the driveway is Dad had to go get a load of stones to fix a hole in the driveway. Come on out of there, little prick. And then I want this to be as snug a fit as possible. Uh, 620. That's impressive if it's... So 5/8 should be 625. I want just a little bit of slop since that nut's going to be welded on the other side. 625, 625, where the hell are you at? 625, 5/8. (41/64). That ought to put just enough slop in there. It'll still be snug. Yeah, that one's small enough. When you start getting into these bigger bits, it's better to run them in a collet than in a chuck, but I think this one's small enough, it'll be fine. I punched a 3/4 hole, probably have to use a collet. Alright, here's the setup I got going on here. That's the nut, and then that's the block. So just gotta tack them in there. Hopefully I get enough ground. Yep, we're good. I think for this side, I'm going to want to go ahead and clamp it up right. Burnt paint. Alright, same deal as before. On the yoke, got the plate up top, nut on the bottom. And when I did that, the nut didn't have any plating on it, but on this one the nut was zinc plated. And if you're ever going to weld anything with plating on it, it works best to grind it off first. You'll get a lot better weld and it won't pop so much. So I just ground off 2 flats. Now for the fun part. Oh, crap. Welding upside down's a blast. Got it. Alrighty, my next step is I'm going to remake these. These are the bolts for the tie rod ends, and they're center drilled and cross drilled for grease zerk. These are the new bolts. They're just a shade bit longer, but I had to go, again, I was going by the shank length, not the bolt length. And it ain't gonna matter anyway because these are supposed to have jam nuts on the bottom, so it's gonna work out. But first things first, I gotta get it centered up. And this, the chuck on this actually rotates, I guess is what you'd call it. It floats on the hub so that you can move the chuck on the center line to actually center the part up, which is what I got to do here because it's got a lot of run out in it. So it's got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, wow. It went down to 5. Yeah, it's got quite a bit of run out in it. Got about 9 thou. But anyway, so this is the high spot. And that's the low spot. So I gotta loosen this up just a tad, swing it back around to number 2, push on number 2 to move it. Well, yeah, you'll see what's going on here. Come on. You can see it moved it a little bit right there. So when we come back around to number 2, because these are numbered for this reason. Pull that down. That took a lot of it out. Still needs to move just a hair. So loosen it up just a little bit more. Now I need to Alright, well, you guys get the general idea, so I'm going to go ahead and finish playing with this a little bit and get it a little bit closer than what it is now, and I'll come back and I'll start. Alright, I got it pretty close. There's about 2 thou left in it, and most of that is probably due to surface imperfections on the shank of the bolt, so I'm going to call it good enough for what it is. Now, first things first, poke it with a center drill. I should have took a shot of that thing running before I centered it up, because you can just watch that thing wobble because the run out was off by so much. But now it's almost perfect. I'm thinking, let me pull that zerk out of there real quick. Figure out what all they got going on down in here. Eighth-inch pipe, which we should have a tap for right in here, up right there. And for 1/8-inch pipe thread, come over here to the tap chart. National pipe thread, 1/8-27, which should be what that is because it's NPT and there's only one thread pitch. If I can read it. Yep, 1/8-27. So need 1/8-inch 27 pitch. Now for pipe thread, need an R drill. EQR. There's that and that. And then I'm going to clean this thing up a little bit so I can see if I can figure out what size they drilled. Alright, well, Dad just made my life a little easier. I wonder that thing didn't fit right now. Things right. I accidentally grabbed the metric set. Whoops. That's it. But, he suggests I use 1/4 28s instead of 1/8 inch NPT Zerks, so the head or the bolt head doesn't get nearly as weak. So if that's the case, I can just run one drill size all the way through, or all the way in. And I need to punch the hole about 5/8 deep. So that mark right chair. Huh, well, that's unfortunate. My center drill was... oh shoot, that'll still work. So three-eighths, half, five-eighths. We're just going to go just a shade past to make up for the point, so we'll go a 1/16. And then, okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and tap this, and since I got the lathe, I'm just going to power tap it since I'm already on center. And when you're power tapping on a lathe, all you got to do is leave the tailstock loose, and then once the tap bites, it'll go ahead and just pull itself into the hole. Actually, gear this thing down. And see, it's pulling itself in. And there we go. Step one done. Next thing I'll do, I'll go ahead and get that other one drilled out, and then the next thing is going to be to just chuck it up in the Bridgeport real quick and punch a hole in there. They're actually not cross drilled. They're just got one hole in them, which is probably to keep some strength in the shank, because if you punch it all the way through, you're basically relying on both sides, and this one still gives you almost 360 degrees of shank. So that's what I'll do. But first things first, gotta do the same thing to this one. So get that done real quick. Poke the cross holes in this thing real quick. I already got everything laid out, so all I gotta do is poke a center hole in there. And then poke a drill through. And that ought to do her. Alright, there's those all put together and ready to rock and roll. So now, I think my next step is going to be to figure out how thick this tube is that runs through the drawbar and see if I can't figure out a way to get a grease zerk in that. Alright, had a little bit of a delay. Had to go look at a tractor for somebody. Got a friend looking at a 1655 that's got issues, and if I was her I wouldn't buy it, but it's her money, not mine. So anyway, I got to thinking about this, and that tube, the wall's too thin for me to put a grease zerk in there. It'd basically turn into a set screw because the wall of that tube's too thin. But I think if I just run a reamer through there to knock the scale off of it and then grease the bolt when I put it in, it'll be plenty good, because I'm never going to let it get this rough again. But really the last thing that leaves, besides putting that new bolt right here, which I don't have yet, so I can't do anything with it, is these bushings. And they are egged a little bit, so I think I'm going to go ahead and make some new ones. But first things first, I got to get the old ones knocked out. And I think, we'll see, I might be able to do it this way, depending on how tight of a fit they are. Oh yeah, we're good. Shouldn't be too hard. I should be able to just use a piece of tubing.